She thought she was just a teenage nurse pulling a late-night shift, until a bruised, pregnant woman whispered 5 words that changed everything. They took my baby once. What started as kindness became a fight for truth, buried secrets, and a pendant that held it all. Midnight rain beat against the emergency room windows like a warning no one was listening to. The kind of storm that made the walls hum and the floors seem colder. Zariah pulled her hoodie tighter over her scrubs as she stood at the nurse's station, her fingers tapping the keyboard without purpose. The air felt heavier than usual. It was supposed to be a slow shift. Skeleton crew. 1 doctor already gone home. 2 RNs clocked out early because of the flood warnings. Just her, barely 17, holding a clipboard that felt too big for her hands and dreams even bigger. She told herself the quiet was good. Gave her time to study. Catch her breath. Maybe sneak into the break room and reheat that half bagel she'd saved. But the silence didn't feel kind. It felt like something was coming. Then the door creaked open. She turned sharply. A figure stood in the entrance, backlit by the parking lot lights, water dripping off her coat. She clutched her belly with one hand, the other braced on the doorframe. Her face was pale, eyes scanning the room like she didn't trust it, or didn't want to be seen. Zariah dropped the clipboard and moved fast. Are you in labor? The woman didn't answer, just blinked rain from her lashes. Her lips were slightly parted, but no sound came. She looked young, maybe early 20s, maybe older. Her braids were frizzed and soaked. Her coat was ripped on one sleeve. I'm Zariah. I'm a nurse, Zariah said gently. It's okay, you're safe now. Let's get you out of the cold. The woman hesitated, then nodded slowly, wincing as she shifted her weight. Zariah looped her arm under hers and helped her to a gurney. Her hands were ice cold. I need your name, so we can. No name, the woman said quickly, almost too quickly. Her voice was cracked and dry. Just help me, please. Zariah paused. Hospital protocol said no name, no record. But her gut said yes. So she nodded. We don't turn anyone away. She guided her into trauma room 2, flipped on the overhead light, and started pulling supplies. Blood pressure cuff, 4 kit, monitor wires. All routine. But her fingers felt clumsy. You have any allergies? Medical history? Prenatal visits? The woman shook her head. Don't ask questions. Please, just do your job. Zariah stilled. Something about her tone, too calm to be panicked, too sharp to be helpless. It wasn't fear. It was control. Zariah's hands moved again, slower now. I'm just trying to help you. That's what I'm here for. I know. The woman looked her dead in the eyes. You look too young to save a life. Zariah smiled thinly. Try me. She wrapped the cuff around her arm and watched the numbers climb. Elevated. Heart rate spiking. But that was expected. Storm, stress, pregnancy. Still, the way the woman kept shifting her gaze, watching every shadow in the room, it wasn't just pain. You got someone we can call? Zariah asked. No. Emergency contact. No. Zariah bit the inside of her cheek. You running from someone. Silence. Then a whisper. Everyone. Thunder cracked outside, and the lights flickered. Zariah reached for the intercom, but it was dead. Backup generator was on, but not everything powered. Phones were out too. Storm protocol, she muttered. Mostly to herself. She moved closer to adjust the woman's coat and start the 4. Don't touch that. The shout was so sudden Zariah jumped back, her hands in the air. The woman's fingers clutched at her chest, yanking the collar of her coat tight. Her eyes wild, like an animal cornered. She breathed hard, eyes fixed on Zariah like she was a threat. I wasn't, I just need to check. Don't, she said, quieter now, but no less firm. Please. Zariah took a slow breath. Okay. Okay. You're in control. Just tell me what you need. A long silence stretched between them. The only sounds were the beeping monitors and the hum of distant thunder. Zariah moved carefully now, working around her. She tried not to stare, but she couldn't help noticing something shiny under her coat. Just a flicker of metal when the woman shifted. A necklace. A clasp. Then the hospital lights dimmed again. A code silence alert flashed on the wall. Someone screaming in the psych ward. "I'll be right back," Zariah said, grabbing her pager. "Don't move." She sprinted down the hallway, shoes squeaking on the polished floor. The psych nurse waved her off. It was a false alarm. Just a confused patient yelling at shadows. Zariah jogged back. The woman wasn't in the bed. Zariah froze. Then spotted her, halfway down the corridor, standing in front of the staff bulletin board. One hand on her belly, the other resting against the glass case of hospital flyers and photos. "What are you doing?" Zariah asked, breathless. The woman turned slowly. "I was just looking." Zariah stepped closer. The bulletin board had a laminated flyer. A faded missing poster, pinned up months ago. A photo of a woman, smiling, young, holding a little girl. The caption, "Have you seen Chantel Green? Last seen 2008. Wearing blue scrubs. Pendant, silver heart with initials CG." Zariah looked at the woman. Her heart did something strange in her chest. "You okay?" "I've been here before," the woman whispered. "A long time ago." Zariah helped her back to the room. She tried to shake the feeling. It was nothing. Coincidence. People say weird things when they're in pain. But when she sat the woman down and went to insert the 4, she started humming to calm her nerves. It was an old tune. One her mother used to hum at night. Soft, a little off-key, something about stars and staying brave. The woman flinched. Her hand dropped briefly to her side. And that's when Zariah saw it. Just for a second. A glint of silver. A delicate chain. A pendant swinging like a pendulum under the hospital light. Her breath caught. She stepped back like she'd been burned. The room held its breath too. Because that pendant wasn't just jewelry. It was identical to the one her mother wore the night she vanished. And it was hanging around this woman's neck. Zariah couldn't move. Her eyes locked on the pendant. Silver heart. Tiny, dulled with age. The exact curve. The initials, though she couldn't make them out clearly, were etched in the same pattern that had lived in her memory like a scar. CG. It shouldn't be possible. That necklace vanished with her mother 10 years ago. No leads. No answers. Just her grandmother saying things like God will reveal in time, while filing missing person reports that no one seemed to care about. The woman noticed her staring. Her hand shot to her chest and shoved the pendant under her shirt. Zariah blinked fast, heart slamming against her ribs. She suddenly felt like a little girl again, standing in her grandmother's kitchen, holding a photo of her mother, begging for the truth no one had. "You okay?" the woman asked, too casually. Zariah forced a nod.
Yeah.
"Just light-headed." "Maybe you should sit down," the woman offered, with a kind of detached smirk. Zariah looked at her closely now. Not just her belly or her coat. Her face. There was something hauntingly familiar in the arch of her brow. The sharpness of her cheekbones. A softness around the eyes she couldn't place, but felt. "Do I know you?" Zariah asked, the words trembling out. The woman didn't answer. She just turned her head and coughed hard into her sleeve. When she turned back, her face was blank. "No," she said. But her voice was too fast. Too flat. "You sure?" I said no. The silence that followed was louder than thunder. Zariah moved slowly now. Not just as a nurse, but as someone watching for tells. She cleaned the foresight. Adjusted the monitor wires. But her eyes stayed on that collar. "You said you've been here before." Zariah asked casually, rechecking vitals. "I said it felt familiar. That's all." The monitor beeped higher. "You been in hospitals a lot." "Haven't we all?" the woman said, staring at the ceiling. Sickness finds everyone eventually. The line had a bitterness in it, something too wise for someone who looked barely 30. Zariah changed tactics. What about family? Anyone coming? I told you. No. No friends. No. Zariah hesitated, then softly asked, no daughter? The woman flinched. Just a flicker. But it was there. Zariah waited. Nothing. Just a longer, colder silence. Then the woman whispered, why are you asking me that? Zariah didn't know how to answer. Her brain screamed that it was insane. That she was projecting. That trauma made ghosts look like people. But her body remembered things before her mind did. A lullaby. A warm hand brushing her curls out of her eyes. A voice whispering, you're braver than me, baby girl. And that necklace. That cursed, impossible necklace. She stood up quickly. I'll get the doctor. She practically fled the room. Her footsteps echoed like gunshots down the empty hallway. She didn't go to the doctor. She went to the locker room, pulled out her phone with shaking hands, scrolled to the photo album she hadn't opened in years. There it was. A grainy picture. Her mother holding her at age 5. Smiling, tired, wearing a nurse's badge and that pendant, silver, glinting in the light. CG. Zariah's breath caught. She zoomed in on the pendant. Matched every curve in her mind to what she saw earlier. Identical. Her thumb hovered over the emergency call button. But who would she even call? The police. They hadn't cared when her mother disappeared. Hospital security? They'd just remove the woman. Ask her to leave. Maybe she'd vanish again. And what would she say? I think my dead mother just walked into my ER with a baby in her belly and a necklace she hasn't worn in a decade. They'd sedate her. She walked slowly back to the room. The woman was standing again. Not by the bed. By the window now, holding the curtain slightly open with 2 fingers. Watching the rain. You ran, Zariah said, quietly. The woman didn't look back. Everyone runs. Eventually. Where did you go? All these years. A pause. Then softly, I don't know what you mean. Zariah stepped closer. Her voice cracked. You left when I was 7. You tucked me in that night. Told me the stars would watch me. And then you were just gone. The woman turned. Her face was pale. Terror, sorrow, disbelief. All crashing in at once. You're not. I'm Zariah, she whispered. Zariah Green. The room spun. The woman gripped the windowsill like she'd collapse. No, she murmured. No, that's not possible. Tears pooled in Zariah's eyes. She stepped forward. Then explain the pendant. Explain why you looked at that bulletin board like it hurt to breathe. Why you said this place felt like a memory. The woman was shaking now. I buried that name, she said, voice cracking. I buried everything. I had to. Why? Zariah cried. Why would you leave your daughter? Because they were going to kill me. The scream shattered the air. The woman clutched her stomach and gasped. Pain rippling through her body. Zariah caught her before she hit the floor. Lie down. Now. She guided her to the bed, grabbing the fetal monitor, her hands moving on instinct. Is the baby okay? I don't know, the woman whispered. I've been hiding for so long. I didn't even know if I wanted to survive it. Then why come here? Because I couldn't run anymore, she choked. And because I had to see if you were real. Zariah froze. What? The woman's eyes were filled with unspeakable ache. I didn't know if you'd survived the system. I heard stories. But I never knew. And then I saw your name on the hospital registry 2 weeks ago. Zariah's knees nearly buckled. You came looking for me. I came to say goodbye. Zariah grabbed her wrist. You're not dying. You don't know what they're capable of. Who? The woman opened her mouth. Then the fire alarm triggered. Flashing red. Loud buzz. Confused voices echoing in the hallway. Zariah ran to the door, peeked out. Smoke from the cafeteria vents. Kitchen fire. Not dangerous, but enough to throw the hospital into chaos. She turned back. And the woman was gone. Again. The fire alarm screech cut through the ward like a blade. Red strobes pulsed against the sterile white walls. Nurses shouted. Patients were being wheeled out. But Zariah stood frozen in the middle of room 214, her eyes locked on the empty space where the woman, her mother, had been. Gone. The window was cracked open. A chair nudged slightly out of place. A whisper of cheap perfume still clung to the air. She left just as fast as she'd come. Zariah ran into the hall, scanning faces. A toddler crying. An old man clutching his 4-pole. A doctor shouting something about smoke from the cafeteria fuse box. But no sign of her. Her shoes pounded down the corridor, past triage, past the linen carts, into the service stairwell. She pushed through the doors, breathing fast, heart thudding. Somewhere deep inside her, a childhood ache cracked open. Not again, not this time. A janitor turned as she burst in. "Hey! You can't be in. Did you see a pregnant woman come through here?" she snapped. He frowned. "Hospital gown? No shoes." Zariah nodded urgently. He pointed downward. She went down those stairs. Fast. Looked scared as hell. Zariah didn't thank him. She was already running. The stairwell echoed with each footfall. "Please," she whispered under her breath, not even sure who she was begging, her mother to stop or God to intervene. Her breaths came ragged. Her fingers trembled as she gripped the rail. Basement level. No sign of her. She pushed through another door and emerged into the cold, fluorescent-lit underbelly of the hospital. Pipes lined the ceiling. Carts of biohazard bins stood in rows. No windows. No noise except for a faint buzz and the rhythmic thump of her own heartbeat in her ears. Then, footsteps. Faint, but real. Zariah followed them, moving like a ghost. She turned a corner, and there she was. Her back to Zariah, arms braced against a wall. Shaking. "You ran," Zariah said softly. The woman flinched. "I always run." "Not this time." The woman turned, face streaked with silent tears. Her eyes were rimmed red, but her jaw was firm now, like something inside had clicked back into survival mode. "You have no idea what you're pulling yourself into," she said. "You think this is a reunion? It's a crime scene." Zariah stepped closer. "Then explain. Who's after you? Why did you disappear for 10 years? Why didn't you tell anyone you were alive?" The woman looked at the floor. "Because I was property, Zariah. Because your father, he wasn't who you thought he was. Because the people he worked for would have killed me, and maybe you." A long, hard silence fell between them. Zariah blinked. "My father's dead. Died when I was 7. Is that what they told you?" The woman's voice broke. "Baby, they faked everything. They made me vanish. They took your name off records. That man in the photo? He wasn't your real father." Zariah's mouth opened, then closed. The walls tilted. The woman whispered, "Your real father is still alive. Still dangerous. Still watching." The lights flickered. Somewhere down the hall, a loud metallic slam echoed. "We have to go," the woman said suddenly. "We're not safe here." Zariah shook her head. "I'm not leaving with someone I don't know." The woman reached into the folds of her hospital gown and pulled out the pendant. Zariah's breath caught. It was up close now. She could see the initials engraved on the back, ZG. And inside the locket, a baby picture. Her own. "I wore this every day while I carried you," the woman whispered. "They told me you died in the system. But I never stopped looking." Zariah reached for the pendant. Her fingers hovered, touched it. And then, footsteps. Heavy. Boots. Coming fast. The woman's eyes widened. Run! Zariah moved fast, dragging the supply cart through the dimmed hallway with shaky hands. Her phone buzzed. Cameron again. She ignored it. Her mother was in the abandoned wing near the archives. She had to get to her. The elevators were jammed. She took the stairs. Her shoes echoed hollow against concrete steps. Every floor she passed, the hospital's silence grew more suffocating. At last, level B3. She burst through the metal door, finding flickering lights and peeling paint. This floor had been shut down for years. Why had her mother come here? She found her, slumped beside a rusted gurney, clutching her side, blood pooling beneath her. Mom! Zariah dropped to her knees, pressing towels against the wound. Her mother wheezed. They know about you now. He saw the pendant. Who is he? Who's watching us? The paramedic from earlier. He's not hospital staff. He's the man who tried to kill me when I ran all those years ago. Zariah's blood froze. Footsteps approached. She grabbed a scalpel from the cart and stepped between the shadow and her mother. A figure emerged from the darkness. Dr. Mallory, head of emergency medicine. Zariah blinked. You. Mallory held up his hands. I'm not here to hurt you. I've been waiting for this. Come with me. Now. Mallory led them through a hidden corridor between the B3 and B1 wings. Inside a narrow room were dusty files, old photographs, forged birth records. A makeshift archive. Zariah's eyes widened. Why do you have these? Mallory exhaled, leaning against a rusted filing cabinet. Because I knew this day would come. Your mother was my first patient when I interned. She was 15. She gave birth here, and then disappeared. Zariah stared at him. You knew about me? No. Not until I saw you holding the pendant. I recognized it. It used to hang on her stand. Zariah's mother looked up, pain etched into her face. Why didn't you protect me back then? I was a coward, he said softly. But I'm not anymore. Zariah was done hiding. She raced upstairs to the nurse's lounge and pulled her phone out. She set it to record. No edits. No cuts. Just truth. I'm Zariah King. I'm a student nurse at St. Haven Hospital. Today, I found out that my mother didn't abandon me. She was forced to. This place, my workplace, was part of it. She held up the pendant. This belonged to a 15-year-old girl who gave birth here and was trafficked through a system that silenced her. I'm that child. And I won't stay silent. She ended the video and hit post. Then she waited. It took less than 10 minutes for the internet to find her. The hospital erupted in chaos. Protesters began assembling outside within the hour. Reporters swarmed the lobby. Administration panicked. Mallory called a board meeting and demanded emergency review. Zariah, still in scrubs, stood before the panel with the documents in her hand. These records are copies of the originals. I have more, including videos, DNA results, patient ID falsifications. One board member leaned forward, visibly shaken. What do you want, Miss King? Zariah looked directly at them. I want you to stop pretending this never happened. Later that night, as security escorted her to her car, she paused outside the ambulance bay. A stretcher rolled by. Her mother lay unconscious, breathing shallowly. She was being transferred to another hospital for safety. Before the EMTs loaded her in, Zariah leaned over and whispered, I found your voice. You're safe now. Her mother stirred. With trembling fingers, she placed the pendant in Zariah's palm and whispered, This time, I'm not running. I'm healing. 2 weeks later, the hospital faced a federal investigation. 2 staff members were arrested. The news covered it for days. Zariah became a face of quiet resistance. She gave no further interviews. She declined a book deal. But she kept the pendant around her neck. One afternoon, as she passed the new intake room, she paused at a painting of St. Haven's founder. A small plaque had been added beneath it, dedicated to survivors. May silence never be protection again. Zariah turned away from the painting and stepped back into her shift. She was standing at the nurse's station when a new patient came in, young, scared, clearly hiding bruises. Zariah knelt to meet her eyes. "You're safe here." The girl glanced at the pendant around her neck. "Pretty necklace," she said. Zariah smiled. It belonged to someone who survived everything. And with that, Zariah stepped back into her purpose, not just to heal bodies, but to unearth truths. In scrubs, under flickering hospital lights, she had found her power. And this time, the world was listening. Thank you for watching Justice Throne. If this story moved you, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because truth deserves a spotlight. Share to stand for justice.